Hello guys, what's going on? We had a bit of a malfunction there. We're having some issues with our stream setup. We have we've officially partnered with FX Replay, so we're going to put this on the screen somewhere. Let's put it, let's say here. Adjust this down. We have a 15% discount code, which is pretty cool. So you can use your discount code and get FX Replay 15% off. I'll get it in there early on because we pretty much messed up the intro anyway. So I hope everyone's good. I hope everyone is well. We had a couple of nice setups yesterday afternoon in the Discord. This UChef trade being one of them. Close these down. Yeah, this being one of them. Now, price action came right back down, triggered my partial stop, and then has decided to keep running, which is amazing, obviously. That's the general theme of putting your stop into profit. If you bring it too far, you end up knowing about it. So we had this setup. This was in the VIP. We had the Euro trade yesterday, which failed. We showcased this in the stream. Now, remember what I said about this one. This one had news, so we didn't actually keep the order in. Now, I know some of our members did take that, but if you follow the rule set that says avoid news, you shouldn't be trading it. So that is something to keep in mind. When it comes to setups like that, you shouldn't be trading them because of the principle of what's happening around. It's about the environment you're trading within. We also had this setup on GU, which went BE. I BE'd it overnight. It's unfortunate. It's one of those things. Now, it looks as if there may be another setup occurring here. There was actually a setup there as well, but that also failed. Again, it's not about having every single trade run. It's about following a rule set where you're seeing something systematic that you know works over a long period of time. And again, you can prove that theory by using FX Replay. FX Replay is a TradingView based backtesting platform. And we will be doing some FX Replay streams as well as some FX Replay videos so you guys can get a good idea of what it is that it actually can do and how you can use it. So remember yesterday we were saying we were long on gold. We had one long setup here that never triggered in. Yesterday we got an area given to us, but we didn't actually sweep out any major lows, I don't believe. So we've had no long entry since. So we're just waiting for it to do its thing. We also had an entry that we missed yesterday on AU, which is there. We were just tracking too many pairs. We didn't notice it being there. But yeah, they run really nicely. I don't know why these green lines are just floating here. Don't know why they're there. So how is everyone? Is everyone well? I hope you are. I hope everyone is well and all is good. Hope everyone had a great new year. If you weren't in yesterday's stream, Happy New Year. Let me actually, I've changed my mind about, we're going to adjust this. We're going to put this here. No face cam today. Maybe we'll just leave it there. And then we're going to move this to the corner. Now we are still partnered with Nesab Investment, but it isn't a sponsor of every single stream. So if you're wondering, where's the Nesab sign gone? We can still find the link to them down below, but they do not sponsor every single stream. So not every stream is going to have our sponsor down the bottom right. And very soon, we're actually going to be opening up the Orion trading accounts for you guys to link your personal funds to, or link your prop firm accounts to, depending on what the rule sets are surrounding them. And you're going to be able to actually just automate your trading through the Orion system with completely hands-free ultimately. So we're going to take a look at some of the potential setups coming for this London session. Now we have had a little bit of movement this morning, nothing too crazy. So remember, this was the stream setup yesterday where I explained the order needed to be deleted due to news. Again, we're leaving it there for an example purpose. Now we have a high situated at that point. Price action never came to it, but we're still looking for price to run down. So unless we run this high, we're just staying where we are. GU, a BE, a stop loss. Now we're waiting for a possible entry to occur. Gold, a missed entry, then no setup since then. That's 100. Honestly, haven't actually looked at this. Nothing there. This has switched to bullish, right? We're not actually bullish yet. So that needs tweaking. But that's fine. So U-Chef, we are bullish. And we're looking at price to run higher like it is here. So no setup for this right now. We don't have any lows to take out. Price action is simply moving to the upside as we expected. Again, we're bullish on UJ, nothing too crazy going on there. Oil, did we have any setups on oil? Now we ran a low, but we had no setups given. Now if I get my pen, I should be able to show you guys. So we ran the low, and you can see if you follow this down, you've only had money in. You've had no money out. So we were never able to have another money in because the money had already came in at this point. After sweeping the low, we really would have needed to see another area to validate an entry for that long move. But that's fine. The fact this high stopped right next to the two previous highs tells us that this is a relatively dense area of liquidity. So that would be an ideal target if you were looking to come up into the highs as you should be. So how is everyone today? Hope everyone's good. Let's have a look at some of our... So this was a setup that our members were tracking yesterday. That's after running all of these lows down here. We had this money in occur. But price action never came back to it. It ran pretty heavily to the upside before trickling back to where it is now. Now, of course, you could look for confirmation and follow through into a new move, but ideally you want to see that run again. See, did Dow Jones ever do anything? Bearish, I don't really think that's right. Now, if I rewind this slightly, that would be your point of entry because you're running a 4-hour low here. You'd be looking here to go up into the highs. This is obviously Bitcoin. You'd be looking to run up into those highs. Oh, that high, sorry. That high. So that was pretty clean. We haven't actually ran any other lows since then, except for here. Ethereum. We haven't run any lows here except for that point, which doesn't trigger in by looks of things. XRP, yesterday, that done us so dirty yesterday. That done us so dirty. Let's see how this is doing. Yeah. Orion just doesn't know what to do with this. It's just a complete mess. Oh my gosh. So much shit down there. The trade volume on this is so low. So low. Same with this. Let's see though. I mean, it's looking pretty good so far. Bitcoin's in a pretty good area, to be honest. Let's go back to Euro and GU here. 2.5 minutes. Always remember, guys, automation does not care for losing and winning. It just cares for executing at its designated points. I was scrolling through LinkedIn yesterday, and I saw somebody showcasing. I think it was an algorithm or some form of trading add-on, um, and I think it had around a 50% hit rate, give or take. And somebody commented on it saying, "You're showcasing a 50% hit rate. You'd be better off throwing a dart and randomizing your setups." And I thought, I kind of understand the principle of what he's saying there, but I also think that is one of the most outlandish comments you could make, because there's so many subjective points to that. By throwing a dart, for example, how do you decide where your target is? How do you decide where your stop loss is? How do you decide the size of the trade? How do you decide the limitations of that trade, the entry, the sell, the buy, whatever it is that you're doing? How do you decide the limitations? Whereas if you have a system that defines to you the model that you are working with, then you already know the answer to those questions. Whereas, like the guy on LinkedIn said, he was like, but throwing a dart offers nothing more than a random outcome. And even throwing a dart, I suppose it's not really a random outcome, because you're kind of pushing it in the direction you want it to go in, right? But it doesn't give you anything, does it? All it gives you is ultimately something you think is random, but it's not. So when it comes down to a systematic rule set, you know that the actions aren't random because you've calculated them to do X. So it gives you the answers to the questions, whereas doing something completely randomized gives you so many more factors that you have to work around, should I say. Money out on GU and U chef. So I'm actually gonna go over to GU here. So that's the setup right there. Before we do anything, we always need to check our environments. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Cool. Let's have a quick browse on Financial Juice before we get into anything. Honestly, not a huge amount. Sweet. Well, we are pretty open reign today, which is good. How is everyone? I see you all sitting in the background there. I see you. Like I always say, no pressure to say hi or talk or anything like that. But obviously, if you do have questions, you want to say hi, then feel free. We are going to start streaming again on TikTok. We'll see if we can get away without being suspended this time. I mean, that was pretty ridiculous. I don't know. don't know what it was that caused the issue or the suspension. They just said scam or fraud behavior. And I wasn't even I wasn't even selling anything. That's the worst thing about it. But I've said this before, and I believe that it only takes for one mid-tier, creator, just one mid-tier creator, and you're gonna get blocked. Well, not blocked, but they're gonna report you, and you're gonna get probably taken off the platform because the actual report was never actually looked at by a human. So whether it was actually confirmed or not is a different story, Right, where's our low? Our low is there. Gives us a 1 to 7. And that low is situated right here. Cool. Morning, what's going on? I hope you're well. So with you, Chef, right here, we're just going to leave this to run. We're just going to leave it to run. We're not expecting price action to give us another entry. Just going to leave it to run now. It was actually a very clean tap and go, which is what we love to see. But it has been running overnight, so it's run overnight, and that's where it's at right now. KU similar, we missed this one. It came right back. Now it's starting to sell off again. Now, like I said before, when you have a setup like this, okay, regardless of whether you've taken it or not, it's always worth to observe what you're seeing. And generally, what you're going to notice quite a lot is if you have a 4-hour high put in at the point that you're entering, and then you have no 4-hour high put in from the lowest point. So, for example, the lowest point it goes to before it starts coming back against where you're at, you're either going to come up and take out the high, which you'll do relatively quickly, or you're just going to continue down and take out the newly formed low. Now, of course, people might think, well, obviously you're going to come up and do that or that, but a lot of people will get out of a trade up here thinking that it's going to come for this. Well, like I say, if you observe these kind of setups where a high is placed at the point you enter or at the high you're using as a stop, then a lot of the time it either comes straight back in a relatively aggressive manner and gives a secondary entry, or it will plod around, create liquidity, and eventually come down through the lows and to the nearest 4-hour low. It generally won't come into here, mess around, and then go high. Not all the, obviously that's subjective on the trade. Each trade is different, but you'll generally see the characteristics I just explained if you go back and observe those setups themselves. So remember, guys, if you want 15% off the FX Replay membership, then you can do that using the code PIPSurfing at checkout. Now, I believe FX Replay is actually very reasonable. They do offer a completely free version. So you can go and test it out and see how you like it. And of course, they offer a paid version, 2 different paid versions, in fact. I believe one of them is only like £17 a month, which is actually very reasonable. When if you look at some of their competitors, so for example, Forex Tester, they don't do monthly. It's only a one-off payment. I believe it's over $300. So are you going to pay $17.99 for, let's say, 6 months and be like, oh yeah, great, I've used it for what I want to use it for, then be done with it? Or are you going to spend $300-400 on a data package that you're going to have for life, but you might only need for a couple of months? And with our code, it's even less than that. So it's a win-win. And I will get a link for FX Replay for you guys in the description in a second. Let me just let me do that now. Hold on with me. Right, let's go to the description. Yeah. There you go. Code pip surfing at checkout. So you can use that link down in the description. That will take you to their website. Even if you're just having a browse, you're just having a look. So notice that we only have 1 like on this video right now, which is actually diabolical. That is dreadful. Now, I believe you guys can do much better than 1 like. Actually, I know that. I don't even need to believe it. I know it. So if you could just hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber already, you know where that subscribe button is. Now remember, if you are brand new to trading, or you're brand new to this stream, or you're brand new to the industry as a whole, you're not even trading, you're just in the industry, taking a look at things. Remember that there's a couple of different things you need to watch out for as a new trader. One is the expectation of consistently winning. That is a very, very bad expectation that a lot of influencers and gurus will put on your lap and tell you this is normal, when it's in fact not. Yes, there may be some very high hit rate systems out there, but they're going to always be, it's going to be swings and roundabouts. That's the way that everything works in life. Everything's going to have its pros and everything's going to have its cons. Understand that you can have a 50% hit rate and even lower if you have a high risk reward trading system. Doesn't mean that it's ideal to have that. Now, of course, the higher the hit rate, the better, most of the time. But generally, the lower the return per trade. Not all of the time, but generally. That's just how maths in general works. Now, when it comes to trading a system, the main element that is going to cause any one person to have a problem or not trade, or how would I say, not have a sufficient long-term outcome, will be the fact of emotion. Take this scenario right here that we have on GU. Last night, we secured a position. We're like, great. We wake up in the morning. That's a 0 right there. Then we get into the markets. We see a setup occur after a sweep of a short-term high. We get into this and we take a -1. So we're now -1 for these 2 trades. The next trade comes along, and let's say, for example, it runs up and takes us out and we take another -1. Okay, that gives us a grand total of -2. Let me just redo this. -1. This one is and nil. And this one, for example, let's say it's a -1 as well, right? We don't know if it is, but we'll just say it is. Okay. Now, coming into the next trade, I could easily say that 60 to 70% of people that are inexperienced and don't actually have data and confidence in their system will either take less risk on this, so it won't actually be a -1, or they will not take the trade at all. Or there's the other side of things where they'll double up their risk and take twice the amount of loss. Whereas in reality, we know we can take -1, another setup be given, -1, another setup be given, and then it runs down and we get a 1 to 4 and it clears all of the losses and we're back at break even. Or we can run it all the way down to the low and possibly get an even larger move out of it. Great, that's cool. But we understand it's not about the individual actions within the market. It's not about the principle of, oh, this trade made me unhappy. Oh, this trade made me unhappy as well. Oh, this trade also made me unhappy. So I'm now going to change the way I interact with the market. Because what happens is you are then losing the consistent action within the market, which can never harbor a consistent result. Now, of course, you can't just apply this mindset and principle to any old, how would I say? Any old system. You can't just apply it to any old system. You have to have a data-driven edge to back this system up. But of course, if you are learning a system, you should already be completely versed with it and have in place data to back up the principles that you are trading within. Now, I am just adjusting the little banner down below because I can see that there's a subscribe button in the way. There we go, that's perfect. Awesome. So that's the main element. The factor of having a competitive edge that works within the market is great. But if you're not able to completely separate yourself and a trade outcome from that action, then it becomes completely irrelevant. And the irrelevancy is always going to be down to the fact of, well, if I'm not executing consistently, then how does the system even stand when I'm using it? Well, it doesn't, because you're using completely different factors. You're using probably different risk profiles for each trade, meaning that the overall outcome is always going to be different. This is why I always said before, you can give the most profitable system to somebody and then be unprofitable, and you can give the most unprofitable system to someone and they'll be profitable. Now, that's because of their personalities and their behavior within the market. You can have a system that doesn't work and then somebody that revenge trades off the back of it and they make money doing that because they're ultimately creating a system off of something that doesn't work, using it in reverse, and it becomes a system that works. Now, statistically and mathematically, that doesn't actually happen, but it can happen. There are points where people will make a lot of money doing really stupid shit. But the probability of it happening more than once to multiple different people is not very likely. This is why I've said before, you've got to have data to back up your actions within the market. Once you have that data, then you automatically just switch off. You just say, I don't even care. I literally don't care. I know by probability that I should only take X amount of losses in a row, or I'm only going to take X amount of trades before I reduce my risk, etc. Everyone has different rule sets. It all depends on how you're running things. This is why I've said that automation is and always will be the future. And it always will be superior to most individual traders. Not all, most. Remember, everything I'm saying here is my opinion and it's completely subjective depending on the individual. This is just my experience with hundreds of students from around the world, people like you guys that are here in this live stream. My own experience, the experiences of other traders. So guys, if you are in the live stream right now, say hi. Don't be shy. Say hi, ask us a question. If you're not already in the Discord, then you can join the Discord. You can obviously get the FX replay 15% off if you would like to try and disprove any of the systems that we teach. And I actively promote that, guys. You know that. I actively promote you to go and learn in its entirety any of the systems that are taught here on YouTube and prove to me they don't work. Prove that they don't work. Don't just take my word for it that they do. Prove to yourself that they do or they don't. And most people will never either have the commitment to follow through with that, or they won't ever find the time. But most people still find the time to burn 6-7 hours watching a series. So it's always about, what do you really want? Gee, what's going on, brother? How are you doing? It was pretty peak for the BE on GU yesterday. It was annoying. Yeah, good, thanks, buddy. Good, thanks. No face cam today. Again, the GU entry right there. I really wish Orion would stop scrunching up my charts. It's very frustrating. Got a new limit for GU. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we're just looking at some potentials here. Now, we don't actually have much going on here. EU gave money out. Yeah, I'm not taking. There's no 4-hour runs inside of that either, I don't think. And I like the way I went down to a lower, or I went down to the 4-hour time frame. Like, I can't actually see it already. It's literally there. So that's the scenario here. And as I discussed earlier, guys, it's all about executing an action consistently. And the reason why so many traders fail is because they cannot consistently execute that action. Deviate from the path and you will find yourself being lost. That is generally the outcome most of the time. And that doesn't go for just entering a trade. It also goes for your risk profile. If you change your risk profile depending on how you feel about a trade, that is going to change the outcome. And you may find a low risk trade that you enter going to TP. Let's say your risk is 0.1%. Okay, 0.1%, and you get a 1 to 10. That's 1%. and then you risk 0.5% on a trade and it fails. You've eaten half of your profits from a pretty good trade just because you changed your risk profile. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with having different risk profiles. That's completely fine. But generally, you're better off being on the smaller end of the risk profiling and then scaling up if you get into X amount of profit. So then you have a buffer that you can use an alteration, and it's not going to affect the direct outcome of where you are. It's only going to keep you in profit, but yes, you might go into a little bit more profit drawdown if you were. So as I said, once the Orion system is running, we are going to be running it on 3 different accounts, and then we are going to also do a couple of different things with it. We're going to tweak the risk profile for it and set it up on a couple of different things. We might even get it set up on Trading 212 and a couple of different things like that. They offer a lot of copy trading systems, so Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. Okay. Let's. So, guys, I'm still on the fence as to whether I should upgrade my phone or not. I'm still on the fence about it. I've been looking at the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Been looking at the iPhone Pro Max. The iPhone Pro Max has got the best battery by far. But I've always been an Android. I've always been an Android guy. So it's a big commitment. Decided to swap over to an iPhone, you know. What do you guys have in the chat? Let me know. Let me know. What do you use? Are you Android or are you iPhone? Are you Apple or Android? I feel like a lot of you guys are Android. Might be wrong. I feel like you're one or the other, you know? Apple, yeah. I've always been Android. Always. You still in use, chef? Well, I don't know if you remember yesterday that I mentioned I brought my stop to 1-to-1, which brings us to here. It came down, tapped it, and then shot off to the upside. So no is the answer to that. But I'll take a 1-to-1. 1-to-1's better than none. 1-to-none. Yeah, it happens. It happens. At its peak, it was running like 4.5. But I wasn't actively looking to manage it, so it's one of those things. And if we apply the rule set of the Orion system that we've tested, you have two different scenarios. You have your 1-to-5 scenario, which would bring us to there, which would have had the same outcome and wouldn't actually have been a TP yet either. Or you have the 1-to-3, which would have hit like instantaneously. Now, obviously, the 1-to-3 is throttled in ways because, yes, in this case, you may take out a 1-to-3 and then you'd have a 1R instead, so you're losing out on 2R collectively. But there are points where price action will just go and give you a 1-to-6, 1-to-7, 1-to-5, and then you're missing out on that 2R again. So in retrospect, it works on both sides. It's not always going to be more beneficial to go for less RR. It's not always going to be more beneficial to go for more. The way to do it is collect data, and then you're going to know. That's 100 money out detected. We haven't run a high. Get that out my face. Get that out of here. So Orion, in its initial build, I want to say in its alpha build or its beta build actually, then it will only have a static entry criteria. So for example, limit will be static, stop loss will be static, TP will be static. But in the later versions, which we obviously will work our way around to, it will have a management in place, and that will probably be variable. Now, by variable, I mean adjustable by the user or adjustable by us. Now, our bot that we actually run will probably be a 1-to-2 safety net. So once the trade gets to 1-to-2, a safety net will be deployed. Again, we'll test and see which works best. But generally, the 1-to-2 is not a bad, it's not a bad point to start protecting a position. That's the only thing right now is it tracks so much data it doesn't need to track. But in the initial build, Guy, it will be stationary, yes. But over time, it will change and it will grow and adjust. Two RR is good to hear. Oh, is good, I hear you. Yeah. So it'll be 2R or 3R. Again, we'll tweak and see. This is another thing. When you're working with an instrument that executes consistently, it doesn't matter about the hit ratio as long as the outcome is above X. And again, I say X because depending on many factors, it's not necessarily just going to be your initial balance, is it? So it's not always about the hit rate. So this is another thing as well. we have to make sure that any implementations we put into this are rigorously tested, because you're using an instrument that works consistently, like I mentioned. So if you have an element that you add in, it changes the principles around that, meaning that the executions become adjusted in some ways. Not the executions, but the management. You can have the best execution in the world and the best entries in the world, but if you have the worst management, your trades aren't going anywhere. So there may even be, some data that points in the direction of you don't manage the trade, you let it run. But the same thing on that is trades that fail, that do go to 2-2, or 1-2, sorry, will be a neutral outcome. Whereas with a non-management basis, you'll have a -1, which again is going to change the overall outcome and the drawdown factors, and it's going to change a lot. So there's so much data that has to be built before we can actually deploy any rule sets on it. So we just need to wait and see, really. So did everyone have a good New Year's? If I didn't talk to you yesterday, did you have a good New Year's? There's a lot of people in here today. Welcome, 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 welcome. If you're not already a member of the Discord, you can find the link for that down below. So I do welcome everybody to join the Discord. Okay. Guys, if you're not already a subscriber here at YouTube, hit that sub button. Appreciate it. And while you're down looking for that sub button, hit the thumbs up button too. Remember, guys, FX Replay, if you want to get yourself a copy of FX Replay so you can test these systems with confidence and have data to back up the actions that you're actually taking in the market, you can get 15% off with the code PIPSurfing. You can find the link down in the description. And of course, if you're not in a position to get yourself a membership package for that, they offer a completely free version. So you can download the completely free version, give it a go, and then actually try it before you buy it, which is always good, right? And it doesn't tie you into any subscriptions. It's completely free. You don't do what a lot of free versions do, where they sign you up, and if you don't cancel, you end up paying. Not FX Replay. They actually do a completely free version, which I find personally very, very good. So we do have a couple things coming up this afternoon. We got the Jolts job and the balance of trade. Balance of trade right here. So big push to the upside here on gold. We were saying we were bullish yesterday on this. We're now starting to move higher. It's such a shame that we didn't have a valid point of liquid to give us that entry here. Now, of course, you could apply the same money in, money out concepts to a lower time frame and find yourself in some of these lower areas trading up. That's not the system I personally use. Now, again, if you want to go and learn that, you can. It's not that difficult. A really nice move to the upside, though. We've run a high now. If you are bearish, which most of you probably aren't, there could be a setup coming from this high if you're using somewhat of an Orion system. U-Chef pushing up heavily as well. It probably means GU's following to the downside now. Not quite yet, but it definitely looks like it wants to. Quite a nice bit of data on here to back up the liquid run down to the lows. That's great. Okay, so we are an hour and 10 minutes into this live stream. We're going to be streaming for 5 more minutes, and then we're going to be heading over to the Discord, and we're going to be doing our first public live stream of the year. Again, a big shame there that didn't tap in to run higher. Does anyone have any pair requests? Anyone that wants me to look at any pairs? Remember guys, if you are joining the Discord and you have joined the Discord, make sure to say hi, jump in the public chat, say hi to everyone. Okay, so as I mentioned yesterday, guys, we have 2 more mentorship spots to fill, and then we're completely full for the first quarter of 2025. Remember guys, if you have questions, now is the time to ask them. Okay, right, we're going to wrap things up here, guys. I think it is that time of the day. We're going to head over to Discord. If you are in the Discord, then make sure you join the Discord public trading floor, and I'll see everyone in there. Thank you for joining me today, guys. I appreciate it. Love as always. Have a great rest of your trading day. Remember, if you do want to join any of the good stuff that we have, then you can find the links down below, including the link for the discount of the FX replay, our partners Nesab Investment. Of course, you can join the shortlist for our EA as well. Do not hesitate to do any of that stuff as we are moving forwards in 2025 with rapid speed. I will see you all tomorrow's live stream. Peace out. Love y'all.